Friends, just look at this beauty. Look at these bubbles, updated bottles from Craftsman. Before that, there was such ink. Compare, well, this is generally delicious, beautiful. And today, of course, we will pour with you. Oh, what a spout. You can do super jewelry fillings. So let's not get distracted. I'll tell you everything step by step. We work in the Petri art technique. But today, I want to record the lesson in a different way. In general, first of all, new bottles, new packages, and therefore a new technique. I need a thick resin. See the principle. First of all, no humidity, no draft, warm, dry, flat surface. Protect our respiratory tract, our entire working area. Level it out so that our mold will serve us for a long time. Use a wax divider. There's a matte wax divider. There's a glossy one. But in principle, it doesn't matter, because then I recommend that you, especially in the Petri art technique, be sure to cover it. Finishing, this will deepen the work, make it much tastier, and display all the paths that the ink takes. With a wax separator, before we get to work, spraying inside our mold, okay? Shake it well. Cover the spraying from a distance of about 40 centimeters. Cover our mold. Here, one layer is enough. Let it dry. And now, how we work with resin. I mixed the resin right before I turned on the camera, but component A is thick resin. Let me remind you, I put component A on the heater, and it stood for 1 minute on the heater. Then I mixed component A with B for 40 seconds at a temperature of 28 degrees on the heater. That's it. I won't wait anymore. Now, how do we work in the Petri art technique? Pour in layers, a very thin puddle. The more you agitate, the more bubbles you will have. So one puddle was poured thin. Did you see how the resin behaves? Firstly, pay close attention to where it will move and how it will move, because if it goes somewhere a certain place flows faster, so there will be a curvature, and then your drops will all go there. So be sure to watch this. We spill, look, in the Petri technique, we cannot spill directly the joint in the junction to the mold. First of all, I do not advise doing this in molds that you know the quality, how good it is. Because when the resin, especially the one that in principle all has adhesion, but which is more or less, if resin's having adhesion, adheres to the end, if we have spilled up to at the very top, then you will tear off pieces of your pier when you take it out, especially if you did not sprinkle it with a wax divider. Now, I haven't spilled literally to the end of the millimatrix, and I want to make a podal. I'll put pieces of patali, which I tore in advance into small pieces, here just a little, because there will be an effect from Petri. I will carefully sink the podal. Look, guys, the Petri technique. It not done on live resin, if you are a job. For liquid or medium, you have to wait there. But since I have a thick one, it's just super thick. I don't have to wait enough for it to be on my heater. Now we release the bubbles of white pigment, and I have already told you that today I will pour differently. What is the difference between the way I poured before? That I spilled ink drip by drop, and today I want to spill it in a stream. Clover, yes, accordingly I will make green ink and shed, as I said, in a stream. You know what? Another moment I spill it in a trickle, but I still give pressure to the movement more. It's as if with such a light pressure I dig. Somewhere I want lemon and I dig again. I spill it, I spill the green one, and now we take the white ones, shake them. Well, here we dig drop by drop, not as I spilled at the beginning. We drip one drop at a time into ours in our moldic. Here you control. With this pipette, it is generally super easy to control everything because it will turn out to be just a jewelry fill. What a thrill. You can record just for macro photography. That's it. I leave it to polymerize. I leave it, let it harden, and now yes. Let's pour in the key, the same thick resin, only you see, the first we poured clover and it stood a little longer. I pour it thinly into the mold. Remember that there should not be a strong adhesion, so we don't pour right up until the very end. The bubbles can be removed. The bubbles can be made to emerge better. Before you pour in the degasser, you could spray the mold itself and there won't be any bubbles on the inside either. I also drip some in, but now I'm not dripping any. That's it, I just can't learn. I pour a purplish sea wave around the edges. If your ink got onto the mold, which is normal, you can then take isopropyl alcohol and very carefully wipe the mold off. It's not a big deal. The mold will be like new. There won't be any spots left, and just like in the clover, I drip some in. But in the clover, I place the droplets as close as possible. Here, they're slightly further away. You can see it right in the distance. I set the key droplets. Like in the clover, I make it in just one layer. Whoever has worked in a Petri dish knows that a Petri can be done in several layers, but then the drops fall will be different because imagine now these droplets have fallen like these icicle balls, airy, and then you drip from above. Add more ink and apply pressure to another drop. Then on top of the white one, you get something like this. With the pieces falling inward, the effect is slightly different. And if you go further, spend about 15 minutes with a toothpick to create imagined Wendell patterns, and there will be a third pattern, and this is for the experiment. I had a bit of polymerizing liquid resin left. It was already polymerizing. It was pretty hot. I spilled it, quickly dripped purple and blue, and now I'm dripping white. The same way, just like the initial process. I understand that there won't be any heavy fall, most likely only on the surface. Why not? We're all experimenters. Next, demolding. Now let's choose which option turned out better. I'm voting without seeing yet, but I'm voting for turquoise. And although I love green, the color of aqua with white will naturally give highlights, a beautiful fall, and it will reflect light. Up next, guys, I will finish with ultraviolet resin. You can finish with regular resin, though. I did the ultraviolet because I wanted to see the results right away. Before we do the finish, we thoroughly sand the surface. We degrease, level, remove drafts, remove humidity so that no amine film is covered, but we cover with infused resin. All this can be avoided if you do the finishes ultraviolet. Kill with mola. Why? Because the product is super thin. The spout will reveal itself coolly. With the spout, you can better achieve a clear application. So I will do with the help of resin and now open the grief to the hardened pitch, as I thought, but still a cool result. Look, yes, as if such a drawing was smeared with watercolor. Fell off a little. This is when the resin was already really thickening. It was already just boiling, but I still like such clouds. Really cool. So if you want the background of clouds, feel free to knead the liquid resin and wait for it to be really hot, really hot. And now for good luck. And a petal of clover, let's see. And you see, I haven't waited for full polymerization yet. I really like these falls. I really love these ink waterfalls. You can't just look at them. You need to get right into the depths and look directly. Apologize for the shaking. For those who get seasick easily, you can fast forward, but I couldn't help but show you these internal falls. It's not enough. The blots on the outside, which match the color of the ink, and also the fur inside. And now look, as I already said, I'm finishing with UV resin. I sanded the surface, cleaned it with rubbing alcohol, and with the spout I apply UV resin around the edges, and look how plush it turns out. The main thing is to fix it very carefully. You can glue tape on the backside to fixate the toy. Because you won't be able to hold it from either the top or bottom because of the finish. It seems to me that for filling in jewelry, decorations, rings, or even these thin, small toys, that with delicate twists, this is the perfect option. I made it with milk. You don't have to wait. It dried within 30 seconds, but read the instructions to know when. Look, it's like an ocean. It's as if everything sprang to life right before my eyes. I also covered it with a clover. Look how appetizing it's become. So here's a suggestion. Always apply a finish, always. This will always give your product such a delicious feel. Don't be lazy. Don't ignore this option because it will make your product much deeper, especially in Petri art. It's like a crime not to apply this shine. Look, how I love how the inks have mixed at the junction of the flowers because you've already seen it here. Purple turquoise, but just see how they combine. It's like there are three colors, like fuchsia, purple, and sea wave. Yes, so delicious. So whoever hasn't tried Petri art, start right this very moment. Wishing everyone a fantastic mood.